Episode 6 of Ahsoka launches us into a whole new galaxy of possibilities. We give our thoughts, reactions as we talk characters, zombies, Nightsisters, and some real-world mythology connections. Then we take a little detour into the stuff of legends before finishing off the show answering a few questions from the community. We have got lots to talk about out far, far away, out in the Dune Sea and beyond. Let's get to it. It has been a week.
It has.
Like, it's been a week.
A wild week.
We've gotten awesome Star Wars.
Yes.
Last week was, mind-blowing Star Wars.
Yeah.
This week, awesome Star Wars. But I think we got to acknowledge something pretty big in the room here.
Yeah. Is he blue? Oh, not yet.
Not yet.
Oh,
we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Okay. Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, you guys. So the support in the past week has been unreal. Like
through the roof.
Like unreal.
Yes.
Nothing we ever expected. You know, we started the show because we love talking about movies. We love Star Wars in particular. And we just I have one friend that likes to tell me, I just like to like things. And, I just like to like Star Wars. And it's fun to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's fun to dissect it and look at the characters and the parallels for these characters that I love in this world, in this galaxy that I love. And it's really cool that has resonated with so many of you out there. And seriously, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you so much for that support. I'm speechless. I don't know what to say, honestly.
Kind of mind blowing that that we get shared and stuff and duetted. You like that. Yeah. It's just like
what I mean. We got so many of you guys telling us like, man, it's so great to hear positivity.
Yeah,
and that means the world to us because it really does. And I don't want to spend forever on this. No, because that's not what you're here for.
No,
but I do, as a bit of a segment on the show going forward, just want to shout out some comments that we see. And we got a bunch in the last week, so we're going to keep it brief. But just a couple. So coming from YouTube first, we have Andrew G4639. And he says, what if should be saved for a Visions type series, in my opinion. Visions of the past and possible future. Okay. But a what if this happened instead, he's not into. It's too much. Multiverse is not something we should have or need in Star Wars. Ooh. And it's something we chatted a little bit on that episode. I think this was from episode 3 or 4 of the show.
Yeah.
And totally agree, man. I think that that's a perfect place to tell some what ifs, is in that like animation realm. Like, yeah, what if Anakin won on Mustafar? And, what if he became Emperor of the Galaxy? And, what if Luke turned to the dark side?
Yeah,
I completely agree. It's a great comment.
Definitely. I mean, and just because Marvel does it doesn't mean you should do it.
Yeah, exactly. I know multiverse is kind of the hit thing right now.
It's the cool thing.
But it's not needed.
All
the
kids
Wars.
are doing it. Yeah, no, Star Wars doesn't need it. This is from Shelby. This says, my dad was an OT kid until the sequels. He loved the sequels, and yeah, I make fun of him a little bit, but not degrade him for liking the worst part of the franchise, because that's the bond that we share from a prequel kid. This emoji. So yeah, but that kind of like is like, it's neat. Like there's a lot to that.
Yeah, but like it's a generational thing. You get to share it with your family, but also we can tease. Like Seth makes fun of me all the time for liking Obi-Wan, the Obi-Wan show.
Yeah,
but it's okay. As long as you keep it in the spirit of
it's true
of positivity and enjoying.
There's a difference there's a difference in like making fun of the thing and then making fun of the person for liking the thing.
Exactly.
Like you're allowed to like whatever you like, but don't attack people just to attack them.
Yeah, there's plenty I don't like, and there's plenty you don't like, but there's plenty I love, and I saw one comment, I don't have it here, but he was like, I don't like any of the movies, but I love the animated shows. And I'm like, hey man, that's awesome, you know?
Wild.
Yeah, I know. Hey, it's not my opinion, but
wild.
But hey, it's all for you. So
yes.
And just a couple fun ones here. The hat makes a return. I got like 24 comments about this hat.
Really?
So just to answer it out there for everybody, I got this at Target like 2 years ago. I don't know if it's still available, but you can take a look at it. And to all of you noble people who made comments about me looking like Chris Evans, I am sorry about your internet connection. I mean, I can't imagine the pixelated just stream you guys are getting to be able to make that observation, but I hope it gets fixed soon, honestly. But no, seriously.
From a certain angle.
Yeah, from just right here, and if the microphone covers a lot of my
face. From a certain angle, I see Captain America.
Oh, wow. Okay, we're really hitting ego today. All right. So anyway, again, thanks so much for your comments. It really does mean the world to us. Going forward, we might just rapid fire a couple comments off. Don't want to go so deep into it, but just wanted to acknowledge you guys for hanging out with us.
Again, more than what I thought. You know what I mean? Just it's above and beyond. It's crazy. Like it's just
And so we're gonna do what you came here for.
Yes,
and we're gonna chat some Star Wars.
We're gonna talk about Star Wars. So.
Oh, okay. What do we got?
So, well, I mean, give me your hot take, or do you want to hear my hot take?
I mean, you could go ahead and throw your hot take at me. Let's hear it.
Yeah, my quick thoughts.
Yeah, go ahead. 5-minute review. 5 minutes or less.
I mean, let's be honest. This is a Seth review. It's gonna be quick.
That's true.
Yeah, because quick and concise. All right. So going in, I thought that this was gonna be like at this point now. This is the Ahsoka show. Mm-hmm. Golly. I guess I was wrong because this felt like the most Rebels episode yet, which isn't a bad thing. I just thought that this late in the show that is called Ahsoka, and that we're getting like this formula still, that I'm just like, weird flex, Dave, but okay. All right. I'm still, again, I'm on this coaster. I'm not getting off, but it's really, really interesting. And, this episode I felt like did have lots of moments that where it was like spinning wheels a little bit, but at the same time we're getting these little nuggets and these little seeds planted that are like crazy world building things. Mm-hmm. Where I'm just like, oh my gosh, what exactly does that mean? Like when they say stuff like that, where I'm just like, I gotta tune in the next week. I gotta tune in another 5 minutes. I'm still just glued because even though I'm not always liking what the characters are doing, they're saying stuff where I'm just like, whoa, okay, I'm still here. I am still here, even though that they're just riding on creatures in the wasteland. So yes,
yeah. I mean, I don't know that I'm surprised that it wasn't too far with Ahsoka.
Yeah, he's pacing well. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? That we ate well for 2 episodes. Now we got time to we got a little bit of time. He's cooking again. And then we're gonna eat well again. I think that's what's gonna happen.
So we're rebuilding the pace.
Exactly. That's all. Yes, that's the whole thing. He's back. He's I had my sandwich. Now he's remaking the sandwich.
Here we go. It's like you can't help yourself.
I can't. I mean, you keep throwing me the analogies. That I've eaten my sandwich. Now he's remaking it for dinner. At this point,
we could make like a sandwich supercut, the Seth sandwich supercut.
Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I actually thought that now, with only 2 episodes left, this kind of has almost a Lord of the Rings story structure, mm-hmm. where now we've had the Khazad-dûm moment. Gandalf is gone. Gandalf is on his way back. And now we're following the Fellowship for a little bit. Because in my opinion, in Fellowship of the Ring, there is a weird pacing thing after Gandalf dies. There is a weird period. As far as the pace goes, it's an excellent story, obviously. But there is a weird period of where it is like the pace resets because we've had our climax. At least in the movie version. In the book, it's a little bit different. But
when they're in Lothlorien.
Yes.
I got you.
And that, yeah, great.
Yeah.
It's like we just came to Lothlorien.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how it feels like to me. So my quick review. This show and this episode is sort of the punctuation on this. It is the freshest Star Wars has felt probably ever, in my opinion. Like, it is just, okay, since the original trilogy. Because the original trilogy, you know, established this iconography, established the world, established these characters that we all love. The prequels were like, okay, let's go back and let's show you how that came to be. And then, you know, the sequels, they took that and they played a little too safe, in my opinion, at least with building on new ideas.
Well, but you could even look at that, even where, like, I mean, they were just building the world on top of the old world. Like with the prequels, you know what I mean? We at least like got to see the old world.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
But it all kind of felt like we're just exploring that same, like, different corners of the same world.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas now we're in another room, but it's part of the same house, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The analogy doesn't make the most sense, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It just feels, it's familiar, but it's different. Like, it's like Dave said, you know, you like Stormtroopers? Why not have zombie Kintsugi Stormtroopers? Is that right? Kintsugi? Is it Kintsugi? Am I saying that right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Kintsugi. We'll talk about it in a little bit.
Okay, cool.
So you don't know what that is? Ooh,
no.
Okay, we'll have to talk about it later.
All right, cool. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's like you like Stormtroopers. How about zombie Kintsugi Stormtroopers?
Yeah.
How about that for you? And that's super fun to me. Mm-hmm. And new creatures and whatnot. And
I see him howling like wolves.
Yeah, I did. I saw that. Dave loves his wolves.
He does. That's what I said when watching. I'm like, man, this guy loves wolves.
But I just love that they're doing something different while also building on a solid foundation that is Star Wars. And I mean, we're going to go deep into a few of these things, but that's kind of my broad overview of the episode. Is like, man, it's different, but it's familiar. And it's so cool. It's like, the way I describe it is like if you walked into a room that you've never been in before, but you got like a whiff of something that reminded you of your childhood.
Okay.
You know, you're like processing all these new things in your room, but you know there's something there, you know, and you're kind of trying to find the source of it. You know, it's hard to pinpoint in your mind. It's just that feeling.
Well, I think too that part of that is like we've gotten to know these characters. Like even though we don't know a whole lot about Baylan and Shin, but just the fact that putting them in a whole new place and everything, they at least are kind of that anchor point now that it's like, okay, yeah, this is all crazy and wild and new, but it's like, well, at least I got Baylan that like I can hold on to him as he's like, you know what I mean? He's kind of,
well, I think Sabine is kind of the,
and then too, yes,
she's we're living vicariously through her as the audience, you know, she's our vehicle to traverse this new galaxy. But man, just really cool. Yes. So I say let's dive deep into some 5 takeaways.
Yes. So do you want to address the blue man in the room?
The blue man in the room.
The blue man in the room.
Yeah. You go ahead. I'll sit back and let you.
I mean, I think he's pretty great. I think that the only thing that is lacking is I think that like. I'm not 100% sure on his look. But I have to venture a guess. He's been locked away in another galaxy for like 17 years, or something like that.
It's like 13, I think.
So sure. Something like that. But so who knows what that does to a human being?
Or a chiss.
Or chiss. Yeah. Who knows what that does to a person? Yeah. So I guess in my mind's eye, I need to imagine, no, this is an older Thrawn. So, but other than that, I feel like it is just, he's cold, he's calculative, he's weirdly a Paragon board or whatever of the chaotic good, chaotic evil, chaotic neutral. Oh, yes. Bro's in the middle. It's weird. He is smack dab in the middle that he's just you helped me, I have to help you. Yeah. It's just weird code of honor, which again, that is Thrawn. He may not look great all the time, but as soon as he opens his voice, as soon as he opens his mouth and he starts speaking, I'm like, this is awesome.
I thought he looked terrific. I think that they could have defined the facial features a little more, maybe with the
he just
thing
doesn't really Yes, that he's got like the forehead and he should have like the really sunken in cheeks and then like I think it's the hairline. I think that's just throwing me off a little bit. Yeah. In another world, you remember when they were throwing down Benedict Cumberbatch? Yeah. Being him, that I'm happy it's not him, but like in another lifetime or reality, I would be curious to see what he would have looked like. In the multiverse, yes.
Yeah, no, he to me, like, I was really curious. How is this going to look? How is he going to sound? He leapt off the screen to me. Mm-hmm. Like the voice, because it works really well in animation, that really soft spoken, because in animation, you can really control sort of the source of the audio, if that makes sense. Like when you record, like you and I were recording directly into the microphones. That's how voice actors record. And he's very soft with how he talks. And when you're doing animation, you can really dial that in. And I was like, how is that going to sound? Like, how is that going to sound when he's a real person?
Yeah.
But no, it was chilling.
Oh yeah.
And he, to me, had the most presence of any character in Star Wars, in my opinion. Baylan has presence in a way that like Vader has presence, you know, in that sort of like destructive, I'm going to come in and like command, like bring down a room. Thrawn commanded presence like a Palpatine.
Yeah.
And it was cool to see that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we've gotten that again. And I love, like, one little small detail that I loved about Thrawn is on his shirt. There was like parts where it was eroding away, but he like was keeping it as pressed as he could, you know, because it's all he has. It's not like he has a closet full of these things. Maybe he does a few of them in the Chimera.
Yeah.
But really cool. I mean, like I said, dude left off the screen for me. Yeah. I thought he was awesome.
Kind of like, he also reminded me of like Cad Bane from Boba Fett, in the sense that like they really captured the eyes. Like they did a really good job on the eyes. And that was the whole, I think that's what I kept focusing on, where I was like, man, that looks good. And Cad Bane, that like, in Boba Fett, his mouth didn't always move the best, but like those eyes were always so scary to look at. So and I'm just like, well, at least you guys nailed that, because you know, like the Thrawn books, like Ascension, like he just has those eyes where he's just staring through you as you're looking at the cover.
Yeah,
yeah,
man. So this guy, I guess since we're talking about Thrawn, let's just go deep into him.
Yeah, yeah.
So we had speculation a few episodes ago about who Morgan was talking to. We thought that she was being deceived. No, Thrawn. We were correct that she was not speaking to Thrawn.
Yeah.
She was speaking to these Nightsisters.
Yes.
The Dathomiri.
Yes.
And this is so interesting to me that Thrawn is working with them in this sort of like, I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine kind of way. That relationship is really intriguing to me. Like, what are they promising each other?
I mean, the man appreciates art. The man appreciates culture. The man, like, I think he just has an understanding of things.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that he is willing to, I don't think that he's weighed down to one thing. I think that he's willing to do anything to get what he needs.
No, I think so too. I'm more intrigued by what they want with him.
Yeah.
I think clearly they want to get out of there, but why? It's not the what, it's the why that intrigues me. Like, why do they want to leave? Like there was this hanging threat over this episode of like this power that exists on this planet. And they are afraid of it, or something.
Yeah.
Baylan alluded to maybe they're afraid of it. They want to leave, and they're bringing caskets with them, or they're bringing their sisters, because we've seen that in the Clone Wars, like all the bodies, you know, and those weird hanging things. Is that what they're doing? Is they're bringing their entire catacombs back to Dathomir? And that's the trade-off, is like, hey, we're going to rebuild. Because why did they leave the galaxy in the first place to colonize Dathomir? Like, what? And why did they stay? Like, why did those three stay? And are they coming with, or are they going to keep staying? And they're just going to send off all these caskets. So many questions about Thrawn's relationship with these people.
It's really, really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to me. And I can't take credit for this. I apologize. I don't know where I heard it. I saw it on social media somewhere. Somebody pointed out that they are like a dark mirror to the Mortis gods, like the mother, the father, and their caps are actually similar because they each wear different headdresses.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think there's anything deeper than maybe just a little Easter egg for eagle-eyed fans. Yeah. I don't think Filoni was like, guys, this is Mortis, but evil. Like, no, I think it's just like hey, it'd be fun. They're called this triad, the mothers. Let's maybe. Well, I mean,
again, it may be a twisted version of it.
Yeah,
but it doesn't go anything beyond that.
Yeah, and you know what? Since you said that, I think that there's a lot of that twisted, upside down stuff going on here with Thrawn, with Enoch. And there's a mythology angle here. This is my other takeaway.
Yeah.
So
Enoch.
Yeah. So
who's Enoch?
Who's he? Like biblically speaking?
Yeah. I mean, like, because didn't your ears perk up when you heard that name?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
So, for you guys out there who maybe not know, Enoch is a biblical figure, his biblical name. And he gets thrown around a lot because of the book of Enoch. There's a lot of mysticism around that. A lot of people were like, oh, they're the secrets of the universe. And it's not as crazy as that. Enoch was a prophet, essentially. He was Noah's great-grandfather. And he was described as someone who walked with God, which is very important. And so I think that that's an interesting thread. But for our purposes, the big thing that I want to note is there's, and at least in Judeo-Christian, or specifically Christian teaching in Revelation, there's a theory that Enoch is one of the two witnesses at Revelation. And so he's witnessing the end times. That's interesting to me. But also Enoch, in Judeo-Christian, so both Jewish and Christian, believe that Enoch was taken up with God into heaven. He did not die in a normal way. So he was like the first to be raptured, basically. So that's interesting. We're seeing all these stormtroopers who are basically undead, right? And so there's the captain of the guards named Enoch. And I think now this is a little bit of, like I said, Enoch's kind of a confusing figure. And when you start getting into the apocryphal type stuff, but there's some theory that suggests that maybe he's actually Metatron, not Megatron. Metatron. Supernatural fans that might
scribe.
He basically was. He was an angel that
wrote God's word.
He wrote God. Proclaimed the word of God. Mm-hmm. So like a mouthpiece, essentially, sort of. And that was maybe who Enoch became when he was ascended. There's some talk about that in sort of rabbinical teachings and other apocryphal teachings. So anyway, all that to say, I think there's some ties here. Yeah.
The dude's really like pulling on like tales and mythology and like, that like, cause I mean, we, in the last episode, I mean, she got eaten by a fish. I mean, Jonah. Yes. I mean, yes, that it's like, that like, I think that like he's pulling from all these ideas.
You have Jonah and the whale. You have Baylan, Skull, Shin, Hati.
Yes.
Skull and Hati, the Norse wolves who devoured the sun and the moon. I want to talk about that a little deeper in a minute, but I mean, that's pretty big. And you have the mothers who I wrote down the Nightsisters of Fate. I mean, they were talking about pulling on the strings.
Hercules.
Yes. In Greek mythology.
Yes.
And they almost reminded me a little bit of the Stygian witches from Clash of the Titans. They're actually called the Grey Sisters, I think, in Greek mythology as well. But they like all share an eye.
Yeah. That's who I'm talking about in Hercules. Like
they're not the same. They're not the same figure. They're very similar though.
Yes.
But they can like see prophetical things.
Yes.
And I think they might be similar in some stories. Greek mythology gets really confusing.
Muddy.
Like
Star Wars. It gets muddy. Yes.
But anyway, so a lot of mythology stuff going on.
It is weird.
That's really interesting to me. It's like, why? Why is there so much of this? But what intrigues me the most is like a lot of this mythology ties, a lot of it has to do with end time stuff. Skull and Hati, the Norse wolves, So they chased the sun and the moon. That was their whole thing in Norse mythology. So there was like the chariots of the sun and the moon, and they chased it across the sky because basically in Norse mythology, like the sun, the goddess, the deities of the sun and the moon kept getting distracted. And so Odin got mad at that, and he created these wolves to chase them, to keep them in motion,
keep the sun and moon moving. Yeah.
And so at Ragnarok, they devour them, and there's no light, and the earth freezes basically. And that's really interesting to me. And I wonder if there's more to that, because Baylan's skull, I wonder, he's searching for this power. He wants to end the cycle. He wants to end the cycle of this, whatever is going on, of the rise of the Jedi, or the rise of the Empire, the fall of the Jedi, the rise of the good, the rise of the evil, the fall. He wants to stop this. What does he want to stop? How is he going to break this chain? Yeah. Is the sun and the moon maybe a allegory for the dark and the light? Is Peridia a source of the dark and the light, the force maybe?
Yeah.
Does he want to like destroy that? Is he going to devour the light side of the force in some way? Is that even possible? I don't know. It's just, the parallel is extremely interesting to me with the wolves.
Yeah.
And it could just be as simple as Dave Filoni loves wolves and is like, dude, Skull and Hati.
I think he likes wolves.
I mean, that's definitely probably what got him interested in those two names.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that this episode, that is what I thought before, that they were just names of wolves, and that's probably why he chose those names. But now that Baylan has said he wants to end this cycle, and that is what Skull and Hati did in mythology, was ended the great cycle.
Yeah.
I think there's more to it.
Yeah. Have you seen Justice League Crisis on Two Earths?
Is that an animated movie?
It is an animated film. Batman fights Owlman. That's like the big thing, that James Woods plays Owlman.
No.
Okay, so his conversation about the rise and fall, and about how it just never stops. And like, it got me thinking about this, that it felt very much like Owlman in that movie. So what happens is Owlman discovers the multiverse. We keep bringing that up today. It's weird. That he discovers the multiverse, and he decides that the only decision he can actually make that would make a difference is wiping out the multiverse. And so that's what I'm kind of like afraid that's what Baylan wants to do, is like, I've got this wheel that just keeps going around of like light and dark and light and dark. And the only thing I can do is just rip the wheel off the rim, basically. And that's it. It's just kind of like, wow, he's really scary then. If that's, that's really what he wants to do, it's wild.
I think we're onto something with that.
Yeah,
I really do.
Yeah.
And Shin Hati is interesting because,
dude, she's scary. Like anytime, like just her just sitting there, just staring at you.
But didn't she give you kind of vibes this episode of maybe she's not all bad?
Well, I think that she's just, again, like riding that lightning. Because it's like they've gone this far, but it's like, I hope that this is like, she's not 100% what they're doing.
Yeah, but she said that line about like, I thought you were training me to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
And that really got me interested. Like, does she think that she's doing what's right?
The right thing?
Because before, I thought that was Baylan. Baylan's like, no, for the greater good. And Shin was just caught up in the dark side.
Yeah.
But no, it seems like she thinks that what they're doing is the right thing. And
does anybody, I mean, everybody's the hero of their own story, right?
Well, yes, but I'm saying like before, it seemed like she was a little bit more one-dimensional, where she was just
definitely
evil.
Like the feral of the two.
Like the Darth Maul.
Yeah, the
like
weapon.
She was just...
Yeah.
But now, I mean, she's got a little more dimension, I feel like. But real quick, I want to go right to Enoch just to finish that thought a little bit.
Yeah.
The point I was making with him was like Thrawn feels like almost like an antithetical Messiah right now, coming like the second coming of Thrawn to the new world, but it's almost like it's wrong. It's this evil force. It's really interesting. And you have Enoch, this biblical named character who is also this walking with God. That's the main thing he's known for in scripture. That's fascinating to me.
It is.
It's fascinating to me. And I think that, again, we could be looking really far into that. Maybe we are, but I think at the end of it, it's probably more about like Enoch didn't die. And that's probably where Filoni got the name.
Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting that the whole thing I want to bring up about him is like all those troopers. Is like, what do you think about that? Because like, first off, we didn't see any Night Brothers.
Yeah.
So Are those weird hybrids? Are they undead stormtroopers? Are they like the weird amalgam? Like, that's what I'm kind of getting at. Like Nephilim, like where it's like these things
So
that
back to
should, again,
like the hybrids.
Again, the whole, like, the other thing that Enoch, the book of Enoch is known for is that supposedly it talks about the history of the Nephilim. The idea of an angel and a human coming together and creating like a crazy hybrid. But the idea of a Night Brother and a Stormtrooper crazy hybrid magic, I don't know. Maybe that's what he's pulling from.
To your point, like about Night Brothers.
Yeah.
I wonder if Night Brothers, like, if they were just the natives to Dathomir, like in our galaxy.
Oh, you think only the sisters came?
Yeah, that's my guess. But
ooh, that's an interesting thought. I don't know.
Yeah, and then they sort of, because they always seem like subordinates.
Yes, it seemed like a caste system where like the women were
very much a matriarchal society.
Yes. Okay.
But as far as the Stormtroopers, I think that they are undead for sure. At least a lot of them.
Yeah.
Because notice the wraps.
Yeah.
What would those be for? And they're red.
I mean, just because like Nightsister something holding them together.
I think it's literally them like holding their essence, literally holding their bodies together.
Kind of like what was going on with Marok.
Yeah. That's a good point. I think Marok was a bit of a foreshadow to this.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
I think that Marok being held together by Nightsister magic.
Yeah.
And then, man, we're back on the Marok theories. They don't stop, guys. Dude, one of the Stormtroopers a Star Killer. I'm calling it right now. But yeah, I think because otherwise, why have the wraps?
Yeah.
But the thing I said earlier, the kintsugi. So kintsugi is a Japanese practice. I actually have a Wikipedia article. I'll go ahead and pull up so I don't sound like an idiot. Yeah, it's called golden joinery. So we see this all throughout this episode. And it's the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery by mending the areas of breakage with a lacquer dusted or mixed with powdered gold, silver.
Now Enoch had it on his stomach. Mm-hmm. Did you see that his armor was broken up, but like then he had like splashes of gold?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So that's my guess is like that's where they all got injured, but I'm sure a lot of them had a lot of issues.
They got jacked up from a bunch of purgle. Yeah. This is it. Yeah.
So, but the main idea behind kintsugi is that it's the art of like recognizing that a flaw in something makes something better. So you fix the brokenness with gold because that improves it. It doesn't, because something is broken, doesn't make it worse.
Gotcha.
And so that's really interesting that was the choice with these Stormtroopers, because Stormtroopers, you think evil. You don't think that, they're the bad guys.
Yeah.
And so is this another flipping on its head, this thing that's supposed to be good and call to your mind like something that's positive, that's good and positive? Is it another one of those things where it's twisting it? Or, what is the purpose behind that? But it's very fascinating. I mean, even a Star Destroyer, is kintsugi. It's a kintsugi Star Destroyer. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
But I think that likely a lot of these troopers are, if not all of them, are dead.
Yeah.
And it makes you then have to ask the question, how did Thrawn and Ezra survive?
It's true. The windows were open.
Was it just because the Purrgil were grabbing them?
I assume that they kept them safe.
Yeah. So that's a lot in that whole little
lot to unpack.
That's what I'm talking about, man, where it's like, it's different, but it's familiar.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Like an undead army of Stormtroopers with like the gold cracks, filled in. Thrawn. I mean, that felt very culty. Mm-hmm. Like that didn't feel Empire. Like nobody was doing Palpatine, or Vader. Nobody did that.
No.
That felt very cult-like.
Yeah. Well, when all you have for the last 13 years or whatever is to rally around this one individual to save you. Mm-hmm. There you go.
It just there's something very twisted about what's going on, more so than them just being the Empire.
Yeah.
Like, they're evil because they're the Empire, but there's some twisted stuff going on too.
Definitely. It does definitely feel darker than any kind of like Sith magic that we had seen before, if that makes sense. That we're definitely really dealing with as Baylan calls it, they are in the land of dreams and madness. This is literally children's stories come to life, where it's like all this is unhinged, and I don't think that really any of them have any know how to make anything of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said Sith magic. I will say that it does sort of remind me of the temple on Exegol.
Yeah.
I actually really like those scenes. Like when Kylo Ren goes in to the temple on Exegol.
Yeah.
And you see like the Sith cultists and stuff.
The magic mixed with
it does have
science.
A similar vibe to that a little bit. Yeah. So, but Thrawn, man, what's he doing? Like, what's he going to go? Hey, another thing about him that I thought was really interesting, when a little small detail, when him and Morgan are standing around that map, I love the visual storytelling of he's getting caught up.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if he wouldn't know what's going on, like if the Empire fell. I think he does through the mother, the great mothers. They've told him everything. But now Morgan's like, hey, here's what's going on over here. The New Republic has people over here. Here's all of our Imperial sectors. This also makes sense about the Shadow Council from Mando.
Because they've heard whispers or whatever of him.
And how would they have heard that? And so it makes sense that Thrawn was like, okay, once he was ready, he was starting to use their magic to
start talking to these guys.
Start talking to all these Imperial remnants. Be like, hey, I'm coming, guys, start prepping.
Yeah.
And so I think that they did a great job of that, of sowing those seeds and building up to this, because now that we've seen it and now that we've seen how he's been communicating, now we can go back to those moments in Mando and all this stuff and be like, oh,
yeah.
That's how this was all.
That's how it's all coming together. Yeah.
Interesting. And it also, another little thing, like the New Republic has been so incompetent. Has there been some Night Sister magic, like whispering in the ears,
telling them that it's all been okay and everything?
Yeah,
like
like just like the deceiver.
I think though too that you could account that to just that, like, there are Thrawn supporters in the New Republic.
Oh, I'm sure.
And
sure, yes.
they're just making sure that like that they're flying under the radar.
Yeah, I'm just throwing out a little wacky theory.
Yes.
Nothing
wrong with that.
Just getting a little crazy.
Nothing wrong with a little theory. Yeah.
So yeah, we talked about the caskets. That was nuts. I don't know.
So you think they were caskets?
I mean, they said catacombs, and they were bringing up what
they were
like
bringing
caskets.
Yes, they were bringing out weird boxes out of catacombs. I just was kind of like, yeah,
that's what they felt like to me. Were caskets. I don't know.
You think Thrawn? That's the trade-off right there. They want to come. Thrawn has the means because he's got the ship to get the And
I think that is the trade-off.
Yes,
like they agreed. Like, okay, you get your people here.
Yeah.
To bring us over there.
Exactly.
I don't think
you have
the
big enough thing to get us there. Yeah.
I don't think the question is the what, like what they wanted. What they wanted was to leave. I think the question is why. Like, why do they want to leave? Which goes perfectly into Baylan and Shin and this new galaxy in general. Like the new galaxy, I thought it was interesting how they built this up, because it was the whole season. It's been like, okay, we're going to this new place. It's almost been like the place of dreams, of wonder. This is children's stories. It's fairy tales. And then you get there, it's a graveyard.
It's scary.
It's a wasteland. Mm-hmm. It's a bait and switch right away. How interesting is that? And like, that's the first thing you see is a graveyard. And they're kind of pulling into that. And I also noticed there's very little color in this world. Like just like the color grading. It's gray. It's
everything's
brown.
Gray and yucky. Yeah.
And it makes like you wonder what happened here. Why did everyone leave? What is up with this place? Mm-hmm. So I love that. I'm going to throw out something pretty crazy here.
Okay.
I know this is going to get a laugh. So Baylan and everybody's talking about there's something here. He's been called to something. We talked about it earlier. Maybe there's some source of some power that he's going to break. What if it's Abeloth?
Oh, you can explain that. It's like, care, sure.
No, that's stupid. All. That's literally all I'm going to say about it. I'm not a big fan of Abeloth. I know there are some Star Wars fans out there that are like, dude, Abeloth, she's the end all be all.
I mean, she kind of is the.
Literally the end all be all.
She's like a Cthulhu-esque creature.
I just know you don't like her. Yeah, she's like a
Cthulhu-esque creature within the Star Wars universe.
Like
and start with Lovecraftian creature within the Star Wars legend. She's something else. Basically, it took like Luke Skywalker and Darth Krayt and like a ragtag group of like.
And they didn't even kill her.
They didn't even kill her. All they did was they just like put her on hold for another 100 years or something like that. And it's just like this ridiculous. Sure.
No, but I do. I mean,
what if Filoni's a huge fan though?
Right. Well, he's not a huge fan of Legends though.
No, that's what I'm just saying. Is like, what if he's a huge fan of Abeloth? Though?
Yeah, maybe. It does make you want. Well, only reason I really bring it up is because there was this interview of Filoni that was kind of going viral about Legends, where he said that Legends was never canon to him. He never viewed Legends as canon. Have you ever seen this? Have you seen this interview?
No.
So basically what he said is like when he got brought on with George, even before that, like Legends to him was just and this was George's view as well. I think this is what he said. I'm getting that detail wrong, but Legends were just sort of extra stories. And they were fun and fans enjoyed them, but they were just that. They were legends. But they were never meant to be canon. They were never viewed by him or anyone else as canon. And so when they made the move, Lucasfilm made the move to actually categorize them as legends. He said that was just making official policy what they had already known for a long time. He said, but when they are coming up with ideas, they'll come up with an idea and then be like, hey, does this already exist in Legends? And if it does, and fans are already attached to that, maybe we can sort of pull it in. But it's not one of those moments, at least this is what I got from that interview. It's not a moment where he says, okay, we got to find a place to put Thrawn. This is a place we got to put Starkiller. This is it's not something like that. He looks for a way. And it makes sense if you look at what is included and what's not. For example, Starkiller, because in Rebels, Starkiller was supposed to be a part of that. And then, or at least it was an idea. And then he was like, yeah, it doesn't really work. So we're not doing it. And so back to the Abeloth thing, it looks like he's creating sort of some big power source. What could that be? Is it inanimate? Does it have a consciousness? If so, it's really the only thing I can think of in Legends continuity.
What if it's Snoke?
What if it's Snoke? Yeah.
All right, we can move on.
Yeah, your Snoke theory sucks. So.
Just like yours.
No, I don't think it's going to be Abeloth, just to be clear, but I thought it'd be fun to throw in there.
Well, I mean, also too that anything's possible. I'm really the thing that kind of intrigues me about the whole, like this whole world and everything too, is like the Dathomirians, like they said that they rode the Purrgil. That's how they got there and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. What else is out there that can ride the Purrgil? Mm-hmm. So it's like maybe it is the Vong, or maybe it's something like the Vong. Maybe it's not Abeloth. It's
weren't the Yuzong Vong like? Weren't they disconnected from the Force though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying that it could just be something horrible like that. Yeah. I'm just saying that like they could pull lots of things from Legends that could be. Yeah. Yes, it doesn't like ride the. Yes, they could ride the Purrgil, and then it's like a disease that's going to wipe out everything. Like that's what I'm kind of like. That's what I was thinking. Kind of like the Flood in Halo.
So you think that maybe Baylan might not be looking for something to destroy, but something to unleash?
Yes. That's what I was thinking, is that like maybe like, he unleashes the Vong, and the Vong are creatures that, you can't use the Force against them. Their weapons are lightsaber resistant. It's just really hard to kill them basically. And like, yeah.
So to kind of go back to the Lord of the Rings analogy then, because I don't know a ton about the Vong or the Grisk or anything like that. It's fine. I know you do, know more. So you tell me if this is off base. So the undead army, would it be something like if Baylan finds this army?
Okay.
And is like, hey, join me, because he's like a knight. He's almost like a dark Aragorn type figure. I could see that.
That was kind of what I was thinking, was something like along those lines, that he can, or like the Flood in Halo, where he could just unleash it. And it's just like, this is what I bring to the galaxy. This is the thing that will make the difference, because now the empires and Jedi can't rise, because this Force will destroy everything. I was just thinking,
and he does say in episode 4, like sometimes you have to destroy in order to create.
And my whole thing was like, just not like how you were going like a spiritual side, like an Abeloth. I was thinking more of like a physical side, where like he brings like an actual like physical army that could ride like, the Purrgil or something like that, and come to the galaxy.
That's interesting. That's an interesting idea.
That's where I was thinking.
See, the whole thing with Baylan and Shin is just so fascinating, because they talk about like the Jedi, like I like the idea of the Jedi.
Yeah. But they're flawed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what is he getting at with all of this?
Mhm.
Like he's just so
He seems like he know like it's like he knows the car, like he knows there's a bomb on the bus, but he doesn't want to tell anybody there's a bomb on the bus. Like, does that make sense? Like this, if you look at him, how he looks, how he moves, how he's constantly playing with his lightsaber at his waist and everything like that. That like he knows something. Yeah. He's just not going to let everybody else know because it's just horrible.
It's
yeah.
And you know, I think that we actually got something wrong a couple episodes ago.
Okay.
We said that there was a parallel between Baylan, Shin, Ahsoka, Sabine.
Yeah.
I no longer think that's true. I think that the parallel that Dave has been drawing is with Baylan and Anakin. And Shin is a dark parallel to Ahsoka.
Okay.
And Shin's just sort of out there. And there's also a parallel between Shin and Sabine as well.
Yeah.
And the reason for that is like we learned this episode, Baylan was a general in the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big little nugget of info.
It is.
But
so
also,
that means, and we also know that like, you know, he was up close and personal with all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's got
Order 66, that is.
He's got these. He witnessed it.
He witnessed it. Yeah.
But he's got these ideas for the Jedi and like these grand sort of visions. And he is like a dark foil to Anakin. Like you think about the things he said to Ahsoka and the things Anakin said to Ahsoka, they're directly in contrast. And now what he's going out and doing is directly in contrast to what Anakin was doing, which is very fascinating. And then Shin, in a way, is like, here's what Ahsoka would be if she made that choice in the last episode and cut down her master.
Yeah.
And that's really fascinating.
That is interesting. I like that.
So I think that is meant to be the parallel. And so it's not that because I think the episode, and maybe it was meant to be both. Maybe in the beginning, you're supposed to see that parallel. Then after episode 4, Baylan schools her is like, no, we're not equals. I am equal with your master, not with you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really fascinating to me. And I wonder how that's going to play off because we got 2 episodes left. And I'm like,
this is going to end on a cliffhanger.
I know the Thrawn stuff is, but I think that I don't know. I really think that just story wise, they have to resolve the Baylan and Shin thing. I mean, you have a very practical reason, which not that they knew this, but
with him passing away.
Yeah. It's like, how do you, I would think just narratively, you would want to wrap that up because you need to give your audience some sort of like
some closure
with the story.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that we do resolve Baylan and Shin in some way. I just don't see them leaving every thread open because that's really unsatisfying as an ending. Like as good as this show is, if it ends with everything open, I'd be kind of disappointed by that because it's like, man, you had a lot of good threads. Can we close a couple?
Yeah.
And so that's why I've always thought one of the major purposes narratively behind Baylan and Shin is it gets them someone to beat while allowing Thrawn to go off. It's like if you look at the MCU experiment, they could take down the villain of the week while still Thanos is looming in the background.
See, and I'm getting like kind of Joker vibes from Baylan, where it's like, you know, he seems like the street level dude when he's like right next to Lex Luthor and these but it's like you got to keep an eye on the Joker because if you're not careful, he's gonna just screw everything up. Does that make sense?
That's interesting.
Yeah,
that's
I was getting those kind of vibes too.
I was wondering where you're going with that. I thought you were
not like, you know, I'm a dog chasing cars. Nothing that not like that. Just the idea that you gotta be careful. Because Joker's going to screw everybody. If you don't keep an eye on him.
He knows how to play it. He knows how to play the game.
He does. And in the end, he doesn't really care that much. Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder, sort of moving into our final thread here, like what do they want? What does he want with Sabine? And what does he want with Ezra? Because he tells her like, oh, her usefulness. She's got this usefulness. Her desire to find Ezra Bridger will blind her. Like, I get that he's going to follow them and kill them both, but is that all he wants? Was that her usefulness was just to find Ezra and then he can kill them both?
Yeah.
Could Baylan not have just done that? Just found Ezra and then
killed them?
Like, why put them together and make them more of a threat at that point?
Yeah.
Why not just find Ezra? Or is it maybe he couldn't and was relying on their connection to find Ezra? And also, getting right into Ezra and stuff. I mean, What's he been doing?
Hanging out with the shell people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's he been doing? I mean, has he been like
growing
launching?
a beard?
Yeah, a pretty nice beard. I'll give him that.
Yeah, it is. I wish I could grow
slick.
something that nice. Yeah.
It looks slick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to know what he's been up to. I want to know, which I'm sure we'll get into it. I'm sure we'll figure it out. But
dude, he's gonna be ticked too.
Yeah.
I just Dave, why are you doing this? You got to do the whole supernatural ending where she just smiles and then the show ends where it's like, no, you got to talk about it. And they're like, talk about your problems. Everything would be better if you just talk about it.
Yeah.
It's so true. But I get it. It's drama. I get it.
I just, and then he even twists the knife a little bit.
I can't wait to go home.
I can't wait to go home. Yeah.
There is no home.
Yeah. What? I want to know if he's been launching any counterattacks though against Thrawn.
I think he's got to be making. So I saw something moves today. Okay, first off, do you think the Purrgil will eat the shell people? I saw that today.
They're like tiny and they're really big.
Whales eat phytoplankton.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Okay, so my thought is that that's why they're constantly caravanning. They're moving from the Purrgil and everything like that. And I think that they're just making problems for Thrawn in that way too. So that was just something that I saw that today, that it was all like, I wonder if the Purrgil eat those little guys. And I'm like, oh, whales eat the smallest thing in the biggest thing in the ocean, eat the smallest things in the ocean. So that wouldn't surprise me if somehow they consume these little guys.
It's an interesting thought.
Yeah. And then it's interesting that Ezra has made friends with their food, if that is true.
And then he made friends with the little guy.
Exactly. Because Ezra is the little guy. I mean, Ezra doesn't even have a lightsaber.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, we've heard some rumors about what he's up to as far as fighting goes. I'm interested to see that.
That he could fight Boba Fett?
Oh my gosh, no. We don't talk about leaks on the show.
No, we did.
That's nothing to do with Boba Fett, by the way. That was the dumb thing we talked about last week.
Yeah, last week. Sorry. It was just a reference. So, apparently I'm wrong.
Yeah, we got some disagreements on that.
Apparently I'm wrong, but that's fine. That is fine.
I was really proud of my dumb little edit there. Nobody commented on it. I was so upset.
It's fine.
Fine. But yeah, so I mean, fresh stuff.
Yes.
The last thing I'll say about this episode.
Hold on. We got to talk about the best part of this episode, in my opinion.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
What's the best part of the episode?
The best part of the episode. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
Yes. Yes. Man, that hit me.
It got me too.
That hit me. Where I lived. Oh my gosh.
It got me.
Yes.
What I was going to say was this show.
I'm happy that we both agreed that was the best part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This show.
Q-Wang, man.
This episode, as an extension of that and as the sort of punctuation of this point, has just been a love letter from Filoni, not only to the fans, but to Lucas himself.
Feels like it.
We've all kind of, for some reason, Lucas has not been given the credit he deserves for Star Wars. It'll never cease to amaze me for that. I mean, the man has given us a gift with this, and he felt so downtrodden by the response that he felt he had to sell this thing he created. But then you have Filoni, his apprentice, which I think is very much the story here about masters and apprentices. It's the story of Filoni as the apprentice. The torch officially passing to him. And that moment in the cockpit is all of us sitting there watching A New Hope for the first time.
Listening to it, yeah.
Watching the stars, a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It's the first time we all hear that. Mm-hmm. And then we're literally thrust into this new galaxy.
Yeah.
Just like they're about to be.
Yeah.
I mean, what a beautiful way to do that. And not only that, to do something like that, to put a line like that in the show, you've got one shot at that. You got one.
Yeah.
And there are so many ways you can screw that up. Or make it just mean nothing.
Because I was going to say, so in another way that Solo, you hear the Imperial March playing where it's like, it's that's what I'm saying is like, you have your one chance to make that work and it worked here. And in Solo, I like that movie. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a little cheesy though. I'm happy this didn't come off as cheesy.
Yeah.
This came off as like, he said the thing.
Yeah, it's risky.
Awesome.
It's risky putting in a sort of meta thing.
Yes.
And I kind of wrote down that I think the way that it could have been done is something like a Luke or an Obi-Wan sitting down to tell a story and literally starting it with a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. But to literally put the audience in or rather the character of Ahsoka, your titular character, in the same situation that your audience would be sitting down to watch these movies for the first time, getting thrust into a new galaxy with new possibilities that you have no idea what you're expecting. And that's the first thing you hear right before the title comes on the screen. What an awesome way to do it.
Slam dunk.
Literally, man. I mean,
it's cool. Yeah.
The dude really gets it. I mean, we sung his praises last week. We put the picture up. And I know that that's the meme. Dave Filoni. I know that's the meme. We played into it last week, but he really does understand storytelling like this, and he understands Star Wars. He's not making Star Wars based on Star Wars or based on George Lucas. He's making it based on what George was inspired by, these samurai movies and these old Western movies and stuff that he's interested in too. And he's pooling this all into this love letter. And good for him, seriously, just as an artist, I'm so happy for him to tell this story.
I think that too, that like, if you're making something out of love, I think that like it shows.
Yeah.
As opposed to, why do artists make things like that? But I think this clearly shows that like love, care, thought all went into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's tough, sometimes with corporate media. I hear a lot of people just because it's Disney Star Wars, I'm not interested in all this. And I don't like that mindset because there are artists behind all this stuff. Yeah, you might see the Disney logo and you may not like that, and that's fine. But there are artists behind this stuff, and each of those artists does have a vision, has a purpose. And yeah, some of them might only be motivated by the paycheck that they get at the end of the day. And that's going to shine through in their work. But then you have people like Dave, and you have people like Jon Favreau who are coming in because they are passionate about storytelling. I think Favreau is probably more interested in advancing technology when it comes to filmmaking. And that's important too. It's what George did.
Yeah. And
I just love that Filoni has had an opportunity here to come in with a character that he loves in a galaxy, in a new galaxy that he loves, and sort of tell George like, hey man, I got this.
Thank you.
And thank you.
Yeah.
And we can all sit here and say thank you, not only to Filoni, but to George too, because he deserves the thank you.
Papa Lucas.
Yeah, he deserves it.
He does.
He really does.
Yeah.
So I think that wraps up this week. I mean, there's a lot that needs to happen the next 2 weeks. I'm excited to see. I think we're going to be
I think we need to start preparing ourselves for heartache. That's just what I've been telling people now, because I'm like, there's not a lot of time left. Let's be honest. That like, it's going to just roll right into a movie, I think.
Yeah, I think
I don't think that we're going to really get a whole nother series or anything like that. Like, we may get another season of Mando, maybe.
I've heard whispers of that before the strike, season 2 of Ahsoka was approved. That's what I heard. Now, that all could change because of the strikes.
Yes, exactly.
But that is what I heard.
Well, I heard too that like when they were in post-production of Mando season 3, Favreau was writing season 4.
Yeah.
So, and he was like, he knew the strikes were coming. So it was like they were fast tracking.
And that is going to be a show, not a movie. There was like a talk there for a minute that was going to be a movie. It is going to be a show.
Yeah.
Or
maybe 2 movies or something like that. I don't know.
If I had to read the tea leaves here, I would say we get, as far as the Mandoverse is concerned.
Yeah.
I say we get season 4 Mando. I think there's a good chance we get Ahsoka season 2. I think that could go either way just because of the strikes.
Yeah.
But then we get the movie.
Yeah.
I think that's it. And there's still a little bit of maybe a Boba Fett season 2.
Yeah.
Which I would still like, as much as I didn't really like the first season. I think there's an opportunity there.
I think too that like he'd be a good like supporting character in either of those shows. So I don't think he needs his own show, but like, you know, have
just
him
a redemption arc mostly.
Sure. Yes. A second redemption arc.
But cool, man. That was, let's kind of rolling in, sort of winding us down a little bit of EU. We had a lot of legends in this episode.
So shall we, journey through legends?
Yeah, we had some new adventures.
Yes.
It's time for the stuff of legends, my friend.
Time for the stuff of
legends. Go ahead.
Legends.
I'll let you riff. And I'll do a little riff.
So I wanted to talk about, I'm sorry, I don't have my copy. I couldn't find it. I will try to find it. Have you ever, if I say the name Jodocast, do you know who I'm talking about?
Nope, no idea.
Okay. So Jodocast was a bounty hunter that found Mandalorian armor, and he started posing as Boba Fett. Do you know anything about this?
Sounds like Cobb Vanth.
I think that's where they took the idea from. Okay. But Jodocast was posing as Boba Fett and getting the higher bounties doing so. Okay. So the book that I'm referencing, the comic book, is called Boba Fett, Twin Engines of Destruction. Basically, it is about Boba Fett and Dengar decide to track down Jodocast and make a sting operation for him because Boba Fett's a little ticked that he took his name and took his face. So he decides to deal with it. And it's pretty sweet. It's pretty brutal. The artwork is pretty awesome. What stuck with me as a kid is it kind of leaves you to like that Boba Fett left him a chance to live, but then like with the last two panels he just says no, I didn't. It's pretty wild. And what
I was gonna say, does Boba come in like armorless in this?
Oh no, because I was gonna say he just finds another set of Mandalorian armor and he's just posing as him. And you can tell that like he's got so
Boba Fett still has his set of armor.
Yeah. So he's been through the Sarlacc. That's why Dengar's still helping him and everything like that. That like so they make a sting operation where like it's kind of like Home Alone style where like they Jodo goes in there. He's tracking down this guy, and then it turns out that he's like, what? A hologram, and then all of a sudden you hear the click as Boba Fett clicks his gun on the back of his head, and he goes, "It's called a it's called a hologram. This is called a trap, and I'm calling you dead." And like then it pans out, and Boba Fett's standing right there, and then he's like, "Listen, man, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this." And then it goes into this kind of crazy Mandalorian versus Mandalorian fight. And now you got to realize this is little kid me. This is like 7-year-old me reading this, going, "This is incredible!" But yeah, Boba Fett ends up taking care of business and proving why he's the best in the galaxy.
Nice.
So anyway, I like that always stuck with me as a kid. That's what like I think besides like the actual adaptations, that is the first like real solo Boba Fett thing. Yes, he did pop up in like the Star Wars Marvel comics every now and then. That like he got out of the Sarlacc, but then he fell back into the Sarlacc. It's dumb, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that is the first like Boba Fett solo story.
Okay,
but done by like Dark Horse. So, and I remember 7-year-old me eating that up, like just reading that night after night, just thinking that is like the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, my journey through Legends is so your attachments through Star Wars is a little different than mine. So like we've all been through this, I think, as kids, especially like after you've seen the movies, you're like, what else is there?
Yeah.
I need more. I need something else.
Yeah.
And my thing was always through like, it was either through toys or games or things like that. And right after Revenge of the Sith came out, or during the release of Revenge of the Sith, Burger King had this promo where they had all of these like bobblehead looking toys. And this right here, which this is yours, you've been kind enough to bring it here.
Yeah.
Was one of them. This was so rad. Look at this. It came with Anakin in it. And this is what they looked like.
That spoiled the movie right there.
It did. It did. It was like, you see all these, you're like, wait a minute, it's the same guy.
It's the same guy.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
But anyway, this was like a special one. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. Like this was, they had like this, because back in the day when you got like McDonald's or Burger King toys or something, you got like a little paper. It was like a little checklist or something. And this was like the big one on the side, like the chase.
Oh,
you know?
Okay.
But
That's
anyway,
the one everybody wanted.
But my story with this is, it's funny because it's actually a little sad, but it's also heartwarming.
Okay.
So as part of this line, I don't remember if it was part of the same series, because they did a couple. Like there's one of Revenge of the Sith and then another one at another time. There was an old Obi-Wan that had a magic 8-ball at the bottom.
Okay.
And there were some sort of tumultuous times in my life during this period. And that was like my best friend as a kid. Was
your Obi-Wan 8-ball?
Yeah. It was this little Burger King toy.
Yeah.
Because I could like, it like would talk to you because you could shake it up. And it would give you, I literally brought this thing everywhere. Like the paint was like off of it.
Yeah.
It was like, it meant a lot to me, this thing.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But the reason why this is also really special, the heartwarming side of this story, is part of my love for Star Wars has to do with my mamaw. And my mamaw means so much to me, my mamaw and papaw. And after I was introduced to Star Wars, I'll tell that story another time. I asked my mamaw to take me to the video store and rent all the movies because I was like, I got to see the rest of them. I just saw A New Hope. I have to see the rest. And I remember she took me and she let me rent all of them. And I came home, I watched them all. And anytime there was something like that, where it's like, hey, I want to do that. I want to explore this. My mama was the one who like would take me and go show me. And so she was the one who actually brought me to watch the Clone Wars movie back in 2008.
Yes.
And I just, in hindsight, I'm like, gosh, I bet she was bored out of her mind, because it's just me and her, and I remember it was like, and there's like no one in the theater. It was just me. But I loved it. Was like the coolest thing, and she would take me to Burger King like every day after school because I thought these were so cool. I'd see the commercials. I was like, man, I love this. This is so cool. I'm like obsessed right now because I was really into Star Wars. I saw A New Hope and then I rented all the movies, but then Revenge of the Sith came out shortly after that.
Yeah.
And I was bought into the craze by this point.
Yeah.
And I was like, I love it. I've got to be all in. And we didn't have a ton of money for toys and stuff. So like Burger King toys, like McDonald's toys were, easy thing.
Oh yeah.
And so my mama took me like every day after school. We'd go to Burger King and she would even, she'd get the employees to like take the box up and
we're looking for this one.
Let me pick out whichever one. And I remember the day they had, because I think they only had like one or two per like box. They had these big boxes.
Yeah.
And I got to pick out this one and take it home.
Yeah.
And I had a laundry basket full. I had all of them. I had literally all of them because my mama took me like, how much money did she spend on kids' meals?
Yeah.
At Burger King. But to me, that's what Star Wars is like little things like this that.
Little acts of love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my mama doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And she did so much stuff like that with me. But like I think about this goofy little oversized head Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And I think about those times with my mama.
Yeah.
That she took me to Burger King and would help me pick out toys. And I got to add them to my laundry basket at home, and that's the cool. I think that's what, in reading the comments for the past week, a lot of people sharing about how, I get to do this with my son now. And, me and my dad, this is what we did, or, me and my siblings. And it's so cool, man. It's just, even my mama, who I'm sure doesn't really care that much about Star Wars. We got to share Star Wars together in this way.
Well, it's one of those things. I mean, it unites people. It brings fellowship. Yeah. That like we're all under this roof of something that we like, and then we can learn more about each other and stuff like that. And like, I mean, kind of riffing that, like, I mean, I would never give up the memories of and the stupidity of me and my friends, like that, where it all started with a Star Wars conversation, and then it led to, it led to, just wild and zany events in my life that I'll never forget. I hold those like those are very cherished to me. Yeah, so I completely get what you're saying.
When I was a kid, like we set up forts out in the forest. Yeah, me and my friends, and we had like Sith names because we weren't Jedi, we were Sith. Yeah, and we had Sith names, and I even remember mine, but I'm not even going to say it because it's cringy. I'll say it. Why
I had a
not?
Sith name.
It was mine was Sindius.
What is it?
Sindius.
Oh,
because it was like Sidious, basically.
Gotcha.
It was basically a rip off.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But I even drew a comic about it. I basically made like a modification of Darth Nihilus's mask.
Oh.
And that's what my guy looked like.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so that's what we do. We'd wait till it got to be nighttime.
Yeah.
And we'd get out those sabers, you know, that only looked good if there was no lights
Pitch
on
black.
in the middle of the freaking woods.
Yes.
Light those things up.
Yeah.
And man, and it's like you could hear the battle of the heroes while we were out
Just
there
smacking each other.
And to us, man, we were trained by Nick Gillard himself out there in the woods, just going, we were doing the spin. I'm sure we were just,
Could you just imagine the plastic smacking against each other? Yeah.
But to us, man, that's what, we found like scrap metal and like old tires and built ourselves thrones. We had a Sith kingdom out in the woods, man.
Wow.
It was awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. I wasn't planning on talking about that, but it brought it up.
Look at that. Darth Malice. That was my name.
Malice?
Malice.
That's a good one.
Yeah, but then it turns out it was a real thing in the EU later.
I was gonna say, I thought maybe it was, but I wasn't gonna say.
No, he's some loser in some comic. Like I was just so disappointed because I came up with that. And I was like when I was younger, and I just was like, this sounds awesome. It sounds kind of like Maul. Like Malice is a great name. And yeah, it had already been taken, whatever.
Mine was Sidious, but taking sin.
Oh.
So like Sindious.
Oh, okay.
So, pretty deep for like an 8-year-old.
Yes.
Honestly.
Smacking tires with your lightsaber. Okay.
All right. Time to wind her down, I think. So, hey, if you made it this far, guys, and don't mind if you've been enjoying the show, smacking the old thumbs up. I'm not going to tell you to tickle the subscribe button this week because that was just not fun to say last week. Yeah, I know, it made my stomach hurt even just repeating it. But hey, it's there. If you enjoy the show, wouldn't mind hitting the sub button. We'd really appreciate it. We really appreciate all the support. We had a couple fan questions that I'm going to read, which I did not prepare. My phone's on the floor. I mentioned last week that I was going to start doing this every week. So we got just a couple this week because I put out the question a little too late. It's my fault. So what do we have? Swanson says Enoch says Enoch with the eye emoji and the Easter Island emoji. Yeah, we talked about Enoch, so I think that one's covered.
Definitely, yeah. I was going to say that he seems like a wild cat. That's for sure.
We must have got a lot more in the past hour before we started the show. Not a lot more, but a couple more.
Okay.
So Alec, which I apologize. I don't know how to say your last name. Alec Beard. Big shout out to him, by the way. He's the one who designed our logo. Excellent job. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
You really knocked it out of the park.
It's a lovely logo.
Hope to work with you in the future. If you're looking for a guy, he has reach out to him if you're looking for that kind of work, graphic design work. He's awesome. I didn't even read the question. Will Shin and Sabine get a rematch? What does that look like? I think that's inevitable at this point. I think they do.
I mean, they keep also hinting to the fact that maybe Sabine is force sensitive because she tried to open the door and then it shook. But then we got the fake out that it was just the Chimera pulling in. But I think
that'll be a big moment in the finale where it's like, oh, she really does do it.
Yes.
So BC Scrubs, BC_Scrubs on Instagram, who gave us a really nice message on Instagram yesterday or the day before. Really appreciated that. Shouted us out in their stories. Last week's episode, you mentioned an upcoming movie. Are they doing an Ahsoka movie? No, but Filoni is directing a movie as sort of the culmination of the Mandalorian sort of timeline.
Think like the Avengers.
Yeah.
But cooler. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see.
It's supposed to be the culmination of all this stuff.
You should, if you can you throw up that picture? The celebration picture? I'll send it to you. There's a poster that was for Celebration Europe this year that had Ahsoka, Luke, and Mando with Grogu. And I'm like, I want this movie. And I think that's what they're building to.
Yeah, that's what they're building to.
Yes.
There's a lot of speculation. It'll basically follow Heir to the Empire.
Yes.
My speculation is that basically take Heir to the Empire as the template, but replace Luke with Ahsoka and replace Han Solo with Din Djarin.
We'll see.
We'll see how it goes. I don't know.
We'll see.
Rippic_tan, Ezra the Hermit living with a village of hermit crabs.
Yeah,
it's not really
it's true.
I like it. It's a good comment.
True. Yes.
He also said, think the Stormtroopers are loading Nightsister bodies onto the ship.
That's what you said.
That is what we said. Yes, I think
caskets,
so.
baby.
I think they're caskets.
Yes. I guess I just figured, Star Wars has a lot of weird shaped boxes. I didn't think about caskets, but
I only thought that because they said catacombs.
Yeah.
So
I guess I didn't really think about you could hide a lot of things in catacombs.
I know, but that's my thought.
I get it. Yeah, I get it.
So thank you guys for your responses.
Yes.
A few, came in, which was my fault. Like I said, I posted it kind of last minute, but thank you guys so much. Again, I keep saying it, but the support, the responses, the interaction with you guys, gosh, it makes this so much more fun. I mean, I love talking to this guy, but I mean, when it's a community, it's so much, it's awesome.
It's true.
So right before we end the show,
to gather. Yes. I was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
Star Wars is a place to gather.
It's a fellowship.
It is a fellowship, and I hope that we can all fellowship beyond the Dune Sea.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
And as sort of a final little thing here, just a bit of housekeeping, if you will. We're kind of coming to the end of Ahsoka. What are we going to do after Ahsoka? So this is a question I would like to pose to you guys, to the viewers. We have ideas of what we'd want to do beyond this, beyond the Dune Sea.
Exactly.
So
hence the name.
And, just as a point of clarity, like the idea beyond the Dune Sea, it's a practical name because it leaves the door open if we'd like to do something non-Star Wars from time to time. We primarily will probably stick to Star Wars. That's kind of our wheelhouse. It's what we're passionate about. I mean, heck, look at this wall behind me. I didn't build this for the show, just so you know. Like I kind of built the show around this.
Yeah.
Just a peek behind the curtain. So, but we're like Spider-Man 2 is going to come out at the end of this next month. I would like to talk about that.
Yeah.
We love Lord of the Rings. Love to talk about Lord of the Rings. But also I'd like to kind of stay in Star Wars. Maybe we go back, finally have the Obi-Wan discussion on the show.
Sick.
Yeah.
Can't wait for that.
But yeah, what do you guys think? If you guys have thoughts out there.
I think we should watch Treasure Planet.
See, he's on about this Treasure Planet thing.
Because it's a lot like Ahsoka.
Please tell him he's wrong about that.
I think we should watch Treasure Planet. That's my vote because I've never seen Treasure Planet.
In all seriousness, that kind of stuff would be fun, doing like picture show type stuff. Our plans with the channel is to expand beyond the show. We have some ideas, just to throw a little teaser out, some extra content that we're going to be doing beyond just the show that we're pretty excited about. But the idea is to stay within Star Wars, doing maybe some like tier list stuff would be fun.
Yeah.
Like the lightsaber battle tier list that we totally didn't do and then had to scrap.
Yes.
Or, like the movies, things like that. Yeah. Revisit the movies.
We revisit the television too.
Yeah.
There's lots to revisit. Yes.
Maybe do do a picture show, that kind of thing.
Watch along.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you guys have thoughts for that,
please let us know.
Please let us know. We'd love for some input. And as we're kind of winding down Ahsoka. But once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for your support. And we'll see you guys next week beyond the Dune Sea. See ya.